Emergency alert service is being launched to warn people about potentially life-threatening events such as wildfires and severe flooding.
Fires, extreme weather and public health emergencies. If there is an emergency and the government want to alert you about it, your phone will vibrate. Acknowledge it. I think it's important to stress extreme weather such as flooding, the fires we saw. There is a terrorist attack. Also, people cannot opt out of this.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Yolanda Melody. So today I want to talk about a new government emergency alert system that's being rolled out in the UK. However, if you're from another country, I know a lot of my subscribers are from the US. Apparently something similar will be rolled out very soon. In this video we're going to react to the newsreel that they did about this, and I'm going to be sharing what I think this is really about.
An emergency alert service is being launched to warn people about potentially life-threatening events such as wildfires and severe flooding. The government is to test the system next month, meaning people will receive a siren-like message on their phone. We're live to our correspondent Alice Porter, who's in the newsroom. So here we are. Here's my phone. What am I going to get on this trusty device?
Well, either on your phone or your tablet. If there is an emergency and the government want to alert you about it, your phone will vibrate. It will read a message out to you, and there will be a siren that will go for about 10 seconds. I think we can hear a little bit of what that will sound like. So this is the alert that will only be sent by the emergency services or government bodies which are dealing with an emergency, and they'll only be sent when they're...
Right, so I knew that they were going to do this sometime soon. What I'd heard was that in an iPhone update around October time last year, in that iOS update would be the ability to receive these government alerts. I'm surprised actually that it's took this long to roll out the warning that they're going to do some form of test on the 23rd of April. I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner. So just so you know, they've been preparing for this for quite a while.
Is an immediate risk to people's lives, and that includes things like severe flooding, fires, extreme weather and public health emergencies.
Public health emergencies. Right. This is the thing. On the face of it, most people would think, oh yeah, that's really good. That way everyone can get alerts and it'll save lives. But as we know, most of the time when the government are up to no good, which is all of the time, they send us in a Trojan horse with the word safety written all over it. Yes, of course, it's a great idea, but as we've seen over the past 3 years, the definition of public health emergency has become extremely broad, to say the least. I could see them using this to alert you if someone nearby has tested positive for the imaginary boogeyman, which isn't a public health emergency at all. It's just another way for them to manipulate and control people into going to a certain area or locking themselves in their homes. But let's carry on watching.
But it's also hoped that on the 23rd of April, everybody in the country will receive one of these alerts. And the idea is that by having everyone in the country receive it, they also have to acknowledge it as well. And that will be, they won't be able to continue using their phone unless they acknowledge it. And that's going to be on the 23rd of April.
And is that going to cause any privacy concerns briefly? Because the fact that the government is, in a way, some might say, is looking at how the phones are operating.
Well, the Cabinet Office have been keen to stress that they are not keeping anyone's personal data. And I think it's important to stress that this people's personal data isn't being used. You're not having a text message sent to your own personal mobile.
To me, there's just, oh my God. I cannot wrap my head around the level of gaslighting. These people, they repeatedly tell us that our data isn't being used for such and such, and oh, there's no privacy invasion here, and it's just a flat-out lie. I have completely accepted that if I want to use these devices, I am being tracked one way or another. Even if I turn my location services off, I really do believe that that is just to make people feel better. It doesn't actually stop these companies or the government having complete access to the entirety of your phone. It even says in the terms and conditions of Facebook and probably iPhone as well that third parties can record whatever you're saying at any given point. They can tune into the camera whenever they want without you knowing, even if the app is closed. This is on Facebook, by the way. You can check this out for yourself if you don't know already. But that's not really the problem here. The problem is not about data breaching or how does this third party know your location. To me, there's more practical issues with this, such as the level of anxiety that it would cause a person to receive one of these messages with an emergency alarm that could in of itself cause an accident to actually occur. I don't know whether they're intending for this emergency alert to happen simultaneously across the UK all at the same time, but imagine if you're driving. Imagine if you're driving and suddenly you get this alert just come up on your phone and it causes an accident. And then you find out that the alert was just to tell you that, oh, there's going to be heavy snow in an hour, or someone nearby has tested positive for COVID. And the fact of the matter is that when there is actually a real threat or a real danger, they don't actually tell you about it. What about all of these chemical spills that have happened in Ohio, and Biden's just turning around and saying everything's fine, there's nothing to worry about? But the people in Ohio are reporting a very, very different story from their perspective and what they're experiencing. Do you really think that these people actually give a shit about your health and your well-being and your safety? No. They encouraged everyone to take a poisonous injection that's caused endless amounts of adverse reactions and death, and you're going to trust the same people to tell you when an emergency is happening in your local area? Anyway, let's just watch this last little bit. Hold on.
What it is that if you are in the vicinity of an emergency, they know that because of data that's being gathered from cell towers, and that's how it's working. But I think from the government's perspective, they've looked at other countries, the US, Canada, that have got a similar scheme that's been rolled out there. They're really hoping that it could be instrumental, particularly in cases of extreme weather, such as flooding, fires we saw last summer as well. But it also has an enormous amount of potential if there is a terrorist attack. They've not said they're going to be rolling out for that, but they are going to be looking at the potential. But also, people cannot opt out of this. They don't have to continue with it, but the government is very much hoping that people will continue with it and saying it could save lives.
Well, we've all heard that before, haven't we? This is the thing I wanted to hone in on. She mentioned briefly about terrorist attacks. And if you are awake, you will know they often use the threat of terrorism to cover up a lot of things. I think that they could utilise this emergency alert scheme for many things to fulfill their agenda that is not in our best interest. For example, if they want to disperse protests, or if they hear that there's going to be a protest sometime soon, they could utilise this scheme to disperse crowds, to stop people from going in the first place. Do you remember when the UK Gov brought out the whole tier scheme? Basically, every different city or area in the UK had its own set of rules and regulations, and it was absolute chaos. Some areas of the UK were allowed to celebrate Christmas and then other sections were not. Well, this emergency alert system, I think, is a great way for them to do test runs to see how much control they have over specific areas of the UK. They are constantly rolling out social experiments on us to see how we will react to certain things so that they can get an indication of when to hanker down the control even more. Say, for example, in 2020, if everyone turned round and said, no, I'm not wearing a muzzle, no, I'm not locking myself inside my house, piss off. If everyone would have done that, I think things would be looking very different right now. Who knows, they probably wouldn't have even rolled out the jab. They definitely wouldn't have rolled out the passports. And I know there's going to be some people saying, well, what's the problem? They just want to alert us when there's a potential threat in the area, like they're looking out for us. How can you criticise that? My point is that they never tell you when a real threat is actually happening. Their motive is never to actually save lives or protect the people. In fact, their goal is pretty much the opposite. So, in my opinion, if I start getting these alerts on my phone, first off, I'll make an attempt to disable the feature. Or maybe what I'll do is the complete opposite of what I'm being advised to do. Oh yeah, so there's another point to this that I want to make, right? You know how in all of these apocalypse films, they tend to show you what you shouldn't do in a scenario. The characters tend to do the wrong thing at every given point. And you can look at it one way, like, oh, well, it wouldn't be entertainment if they did everything right, because then there wouldn't be any conflict or drama. But you could also look at it like we are all being programmed to react a specific way because we've seen it so many times in films and television. And I'm going to give you an example. Have any of you watched a film that was released in 2020 called Greenland? Weirdly, here's this for predictive programming, right? In the beginning of the film, everyone receives a government emergency alert on their iPhone. And when I was watching this film, I thought they've made it so realistic. If you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm talking about. The message tone and the way that everyone's phone comes up with an alert, it just seems like that is officially how it would happen. But what the characters always do in these apocalypse films is they wait for further instructions from the television. And sometimes they're told that the military will come to their area and collect all the people and save them and take them to somewhere that is safe. And whenever I've watched this, I've thought, no way would I do that. The last thing that I would do would be to wait for the government to save me. The last thing that I would do is jump in an army vehicle to be sent to some form of military base against my will. I don't think so. Everybody else can leave, but I'm staying right home where I have all my resources and I'll take the risk. If the television tells me that a comet is going to wipe out my area and that I need to pack up my bags and go to some foreign country because the UK is going to get wiped out in a matter of hours, you know what? I'm going to stay here. I'll wait and see what happens. But just to clarify, I'm not giving anybody else advice. This is just me saying what I would do. I suppose the purpose of this video was to just let you guys know that this is happening. A lot of people aren't watching the news anymore because they know that it's just lies. So some people may not know that they're going to be rolling out a drill on the 23rd of April. And I just think that it would cause mayhem, to be honest, if people aren't prepared for it. You know, it's like when a fire drill goes off at your workplace and you're like, oh my god, is it really a fire? What's going on? So yeah, anywho, comment below your thoughts. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Love you, bye!